Brothers-in-law. I'm Mike Bradley, and to my left is Corey Taylor. We brother from another mother, Canton, Ohio natives. We're here to talk to you about another police incident to give you our opinions about it. And again, once again, this show is really directed to show people how a police officer would react in any particular situation. Me and Corey, I'm a retired 25-year police officer from Northern California, and Corey is a 7-year veteran for Virginia State Trooper. So we consider ourselves reasonable officers, and we want to just tell you what we would do in any particular given situation, no matter which side of the fence you are on. If you are pro-police, anti-police, if you are afraid of police, if you are not afraid of the police. We just want to give you an unbiased view of whether a situation was reasonable or not, whether we would have done something like that or not. You know, what's going on, Corey?
Oh man, I can't call it ready to get into this topic here tonight, man. I mean, I think it's gonna be a real good one here.
I think so. I think so.
So hey, like Mike said, that not only are we both prior law enforcement, but we also are both former military veterans. I did 21 years in the United States Navy, and Mike did 6 years in the Army. So we bring a lot to the table with experience, and then with the combination of our law enforcement experience, just like I said, just to give you our perspective on things, what a reasonable officer would do. We're not lawyers or anything like that, so we won't be giving any legal advice on here. So if you want legal advice, we highly recommend you get with an attorney for that. But what we're going to talk about is just our perspective, what we would do. And Mike and I would disagree. And you'll see two black officers, different perspectives on how we would handle a certain situation.
Yeah, that's right.
Before we dive into this topic, which is entitled, "Was this a case of excessive use of force?" Like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you're new, and stay up to date with all our latest videos. And you can check us out on Instagram at Brothers-in-law_21 and over on Facebook at Brothers-in-law. All right. So without further ado, Mike, you want to set it up, or you want me to go ahead and set it up?
You go ahead and set it up. Set it up. This is
okay. So
incident got out of control, basically.
Yeah. So what we have is, I believe this took place back August 2nd, and in Detroit, in a small section of town called the Greek side of town. I guess is where a lot of clubs are, and the nightlife happens there in Detroit. And there appeared to be a lot of activity going on in this side of town, and a lot of fights, a lot of gunshots been ringing off there over the last several weeks. So when things like this happen, the community or the business owners in that side of town get together and get with the police and say, hey, we need more presence of police officers in this area to mitigate all these illegal activity that's going on. And so what happens is, when we show you the video, you'll see a whole bunch of officers here at this location. And then what happens when the police engage this young black man. Now, Mike and I are both pro-police. And when we see something that's jacked up, we're going to call it as it is. And I believe this is going to be one of them. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play the video. Now, also, too, what we're going to do a little different. We're going to play the video all the way through. We'll probably try to keep our commentary down so you kind of get the full context of the video. Afterwards, I went online and downloaded Detroit's police
the department policy.
Yeah, department policy for use of force. I downloaded, and we're going to compare what their policy says to what we saw, and you'll be able to see if these officers violated their policy or not. So here we go. Let me go ahead and get in here. And we're going to get this ball rolling. I'm going to back it up just a hair here. And this was reported on the news, so it's not actually the video. It is the video, but the news media is reporting on it. So let me just back it up just a little bit here. All right, here we go.
And police then clashed just minutes later.
Ooh, my bad. Hold on. Time out.
Technical difficulties.
No, I forgot to hit the share. I forgot to share the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
About to say, I ain't seen no video up here yet.
Right. I was like, wait a minute. I know I hit play. All right, here we go. I got you, man.
There we go.
I'm going to back it up just a hair. There we go. All right, here we go.
We are live, so please feel free to make comments as we go along.
The first video shows a big group of police moving in on one guy in an orange mask. There's pushing. Then it escalates. More police move in. You can see some officers punching and then using their knees. In the next video, pay attention to the man in the blue and orange Detroit Tigers shirt trying to intervene, and a man in a red shirt pulling him back. Then the third video. That man is pushed by one officer. He falls to the ground, gets up, and is punched by his second officer. He falls down hard.
I did not see de-escalation there. I did not see our training there.
The man who hits the ground is raised up by an officer. The police walk away. The man is helped away by other civilians. He was not arrested. That's key in this ongoing investigation. The procedures are, if the man had assaulted police in any way, he would be arrested.
I see what you see. I see that it appears to be an unprovoked attack or unprovoked use of force, not an attack. An unprovoked use of force.
The chief says the investigation will look at body cam videos, surveillance videos. The man who shot the cell phone videos says he's been in Greektown on the weekends this summer several times and started recording because he sensed this was going to grow.
I tried to make sure that I was able to capture everything so that it could be seen. Even if that meant I was going to be caught, trampled down or whatever, like I just wanted to make sure the camera stayed on the situation of bad cops being bad cops.
It's very disturbing. This severe force, and more than likely it's not necessary.
We played the video for one of the members of the Board of Police Commissioners. They vote on what happens administratively with the police. His biggest concern, what happened after the punch.
The man was struck and there was no rendering of aid thereafter. He could have a severely head injury behind hitting that pavement and that cement.
The chief says the officers will be given due process. But once this investigation is over, a report will go to the Wayne County prosecutor. If this is unprovoked police brutality, it could turn criminal for the police.
Jim, it could be criminal charges.
All right. Now.
Good video. Lots to unfold there, right? So you gotta let's as our viewers can see, there's a large crowd of people there. There's a large group of police officers there. First of all, that's the first thing you see. So just to refresh a little bit, it looks like the police officers were there because there was some manner of crowd control that needed to be done when this club, with people from this club, there was a lot of activity going on outside that club that resulted in the police arriving there in the first place. I'm assuming a lot of fights and things like that, which is, sometimes can be typical when these young clubs let out and people have been drinking, intoxicated, and so have you. Okay. So the purpose of the police being there in the first place was crowd control, maintain some level of order so that people can leave the scene and do whatever they need to do to make that scene safe. Right?
Yep.
And now, obviously, Corey, you and I got some issues with how this was done in this particular incident dealing with this one guy.
Oh, yeah.
So, right out the gate, you see officers swarming to somebody some people or someone who was on that sidewalk area, and some kind of altercation took place. Okay, I saw a lot of officers there punching and kneeing and stuff. Now, we can't see on the other side of that, unfortunately, what was going on that caused them to do that. But my question there is, did they arrest anyone? Did someone obviously should have gotten hurt because there was some police force going on there, right?
Right.
Was there any aid rendered there? Now, this is just what we don't see.
Right.
The crowd that's behind those officers punching and kicking people. Now, again, we're reasonable officers, and I can't really say that I see any reason for that to happen, although I can't see what's going on the other side of that.
Correct.
But it didn't sound like there was a lot of aid being rendered or anything like that. Now, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback that, obviously. We weren't there. We don't see on the other side. Maybe these people were fighting back. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if these people got arrested or not. But let's move on from that and let's get to the meat of the discussion, which is what we can see on that video.
Right.
And what we can see, right, is that one guy in that Detroit jersey. Obviously, he might have been intoxicated. We don't know. But clearly he was yelling at those officers and, being confrontational with those officers. Okay, we see that a lot in crowd control, right?
Yep.
So how should those officers have handled that? That's the question. Now, in my opinion, I saw one officer, they were trying to tell this guy to get out of here, first of all. But instead of just telling this guy to leave, they decided to get physical with him. I didn't see any reason for any physical altercation to happen there. The first thing was he had an officer shove the guy basically back towards the ground. And his head hit the ground, or it could have hit the ground, right? But there was no follow-up action to that, okay?
Well, again, to respond to a comment we have here, Ms. Singleton, a lot of times situations are going to dictate what isn't enough force. Even though Mike and I are both law enforcement, he may use a little more force on somebody else than maybe I would. And again, in this situation here, I agree with you on this. It was because you don't really know what's going on. All you see is the officer's knees and punches being thrown. Were they being assaulted back? We don't know. And so we got to kind of take that portion of this with a grain of salt. I mean, everything always looks bad at face value until you pull the covers back and you start saying, oh, okay, well, somebody got hit in the head with a bottle. We don't know. There was no other video. I looked to see if there was other videos out there, and I didn't find any. So we can kind of get a different angle or perspective of it. But,
right.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, well, let's say whoever they were kicking and punching, the officers were kicking and punching. Let's say they weren't fighting back. Let's say they weren't fighting at all. Well, yes. The question is, why were those officers kicking and punching then? If there was no one fighting back, if no one was resisting, there's no reason for anybody to kick and punch. Now, were there situations where police officers might knee somebody in the side or the back or something like that? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there reasons why an officer might end up punching somebody in the chest or something like that? Are there tactical reasons behind an officer doing something like that? Yes, there can be. I don't see that in this video, is what I'm saying. I can't see that in this video. Therefore, it does look excessive to me because I don't see anything going on from the other side of that would cause me to feel like I need to knee or punch a suspect.
Right.
Okay.
And multiple knees are going and punches are going.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it's like, it looks bad because, well, that is some serious use of force, in my opinion, as a reasonable officer. That's some serious use of force.
Absolutely.
So you need that. I need to be met with something for me to use that kind of force. You see what I'm saying?
So let's get to the meat potatoes, like you were headed a few minutes ago.
Okay.
You know, and let me go ahead while you talk. I'm gonna set that portion back up again, so viewers who just jumped on can take a look and see what we're talking about here. I'm gonna back it up to where that happens. Go ahead, you can talk.
No, I agree. I agree with Miss Singleton there. Thanks, Meg. I agree. I think that looked excessive to me, but I understand. I'm saying that because I can't see on the other side. But yeah, it does. Like I say, I'm going to assume that there was nothing on the other side that granted them officers to do that because I can't see it. Now, that being said, I mean, you know, you had like 5 officers there. It just looked bad because you had a group of officers kneeing and punching people. But was it several people? What were they trying to do with those people? Now, normally in crowd control, you have the front line is the one that's controlling the crowd. But then you have a second team, which we call an arrest team, that is behind that crowd. Now, if we come across, if the front row of officers comes across someone that is not leaving and not going with the program and not participating, they're going to grab that person and pull them back behind our line and hand them off to the arrest team.
Yeah, but these guys, I don't think are the riot control guys because they didn't have any riot gear,
riot control gear, or anything like that.
Right. So I got it queued up here. We're gonna play it back for those just jumping on. I see you out there, my man, Mr. Clark. Thank you for watching us, my brother. So here we go. You're gonna see where we have a problem with this here, and we're gonna talk about it. And again, like I said, we're gonna break out their policy so that you can see whether or not if these gentlemen here violated their department policy on excessive use of force. So I'm gonna play that portion again so you can have a look if you're just joining us.
Trying to intervene, and a man in a red shirt pulling him back. Then the third video. That man is pushed by one officer. He falls.
Hey, what is that?
Gets up and is punched by a second officer.
There you go.
Right there.
That punch, that push and that punch was unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary.
That was unprofessional, and that was not, in my opinion, as a reasonable officer, I don't believe that was an appropriate use of force.
No,
that second guy, especially that second guy that punched him, it seemed like he was cocked up and ready to throw that punch well in advance before anything even happened.
Right.
Okay. And then the guy that was punched fell down and hit his head. There was no aid rendered, which according to their policy, they're required to render aid after any use of force that could have resulted in an injury. That's according to the person's police policy. And that's standard for all police policies pretty much. Is that, you need to provide medical aid. You see what I'm saying? Now, this guy, the punch was I didn't see any reason for that guy to come up and punch this suspect in the face. You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go back to the white officer and the initial push.
Okay.
What I had pushed that guy, probably not. I didn't really see that he was giving resistance because it looked to me as though he was in the process of backing off, and he kind of went up into him, met him, and then shoved him back. Now I believe that was a little excessive too. That
I mean,
I probably would have done that. I mean, there's probably, you know, if you're gonna go hands on like that, and if he's being that, if you want to call it combative with you, then go ahead and put him in handcuffs. You should have went on ahead and took him down to the ground and put him in handcuffs, and that would have ended the whole thing right there with him. My problem with the black officer was, dude, you wasn't even in it. You came and put yourself into that portion of it. You should have then just backed off. He was not a threat to you, right? He didn't even have his hands. He didn't even have his hands in a defensive posture. So for him just to cold cock it. Now, when we get ready to look here at the policy, you don't strike nobody in the face or head like that. You use a fist. You cold knock that dude out in the chin, and he went taps out all white light.
And again, we're saying this because number one, even in spite of what their policy says, they were not fighting with this guy. This guy wasn't being combative with him in the sense that he was physically attacking him, or he wasn't even resisting arrest. Because it seems like they were trying to get him out of the area,
right?
And they weren't trying to arrest him, which makes it even worse. You're not even trying to arrest this guy, so this guy was not, violently resisting an arrest. He was not doing anything that caused them to use force to take control of him or handcuff him or detain him that way physically. They weren't doing that. You see what I'm saying? So the punch and the shove looks more like that came out of some kind of emotion that shouldn't have been there. I think those two officers lost a little control of their emotions, and they pushed that dude to the ground and punched him in the face. That's a loss of control of your emotions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I get it. They had a lot going on. It seems though, we all been to clubs when they close, and everybody get that little spirit liquor in them, and punches start to fly and everything like that. But the officer has to maintain their professionalism all time.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, could it have gotten a little out of control, and their adrenaline level kicks up a notch or two, and they kind of lose it a little bit, in which in this case they did. Somebody should have been there and immediately snatched him up, pulled him off to the side. Now the other problem I have with this is, how he handled the gentleman afterwards. You just snatch him up and then look like you was gonna try to render him some aid or something. You set him up on your leg, and then all of a sudden you kind of just kick your leg up from under him.
Yeah,
and he kind of falls back down. Like, dude, come on. I don't care how mad you are.
Right.
I don't care how mad you are at an individual. When you put hands on, and go ahead, you got that policy queued up.
Yeah, I do. I got it right here.
And as I finish this comment here, you can go ahead and read that, and we'll get them on the policy here. That right there, as Mike's gonna read to you in that policy, clearly a violation of it. You're supposed to render aid to him. He should have been asking that guy, is he all right? Are your jaw hurt? All your typical medical questions, asking him if he's all right. Do you need medical assistance? Even if he said no, I would have still called rescue to come out there and check that guy out to see if he might have had a concussion, right? They didn't do that. They did not notify, according to their policy, they did not notify a supervisor. And it has to be a non-responsive.
Well, it says here, let me read what their policy says. In their policy is 304.2-2. And one of the last sentences in the last paragraph is, following any use of force resulting in a citizen's injury, officers shall notify a supervisor and ensure that appropriate medical aid and or emergency medical service is rendered as soon as possible. Okay, so that's the first thing. That guy did hit his head on the ground especially after that punch. Yep. Okay, but there was that's a violation of department policy right there, because they made no effort to do first aid or even see if this guy was all right. Again, they should have. I think they lost focus on what they were trying to do. I really do. They turned it personal against this one guy. Look, if you didn't want the guy there and you told him to leave, okay, as an officer, I tell you to leave. You don't leave. Okay, here's what you can do as an officer. You can arrest the guy for failing to comply with a lawful order to disperse from a crowd, okay? What they could have done if they really had a problem with this guy who was causing a commotion or something to that effect, excuse me, something to that effect, they should have arrested him for failing to bail off order, get involved, a 415 or disturbance type of thing, right?
Right.
They should have arrested him, pulled him back, and booked him and got him out of there. That's how they should have got him out of there.
Yeah.
You don't sit there and just punch a guy in the face because he's refusing to leave. You either going to take formal action against him or you ain't. And if you're not, let the guy go. Seriously, that's common sense right there.
And that's my problem. That when I saw that, man, my stomach started doing backflips, and I got pissed, right? Because these are kind of things that make all officers look bad, right? These one or twosies out here doing stuff like this. I mean, law enforcement, you have to know how to control your emotions.
That
right?
most
and I don't care how much training you get. I find it hard to believe that you can train somebody in their emotions in conflicts, especially like this. You have to know when to tone it down, right? And that's where everybody has to, what we call in the military, police each other, right? When you see that officer getting ready to do something stupid or sound like they're getting ready to do something stupid, you as their shift partner need to snatch their behind up and say, hey man, don't do that. Or, hey, you gotta, what I used to do is say, hey man, you got a telephone call back in my car, go take it. Or something to that effect to get them out of that situation. And then I'll take the scene over. Because here's the thing, that means if you go down, that means I'm going down. And I ain't going down. I got a wife and 4 kids at home.
I ain't trying to lose my
I got a wife and 4 kids at home. I ain't trying to, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's why I loved our office, because we policed each other. Right? You're not gonna come in our office when I was a trooper and get in here and do some foolishness. That's the first thing we would tell new guys, and especially at me being a field training officer. That's the first thing. I mean, you ain't gonna get out here and do nothing stupid, especially if I'm your FTO. How I'm teaching you, this is what you're gonna do. Now you deviate from that, that's your tail end. So I mean, this right here, I mean, you don't even arrest the guy.
One of Singleton made a comment. She says this is what makes it hard for citizens to trust the police, and I can understand that viewpoint.
Sure.
However, make sure you still do the things that we're telling you to do, because again, no matter what kind of officer you come across, you at least want to do the things we're telling you to do so that nothing happens. You got more of a chance of nothing happening. Okay.
Well, yeah.
So I don't want you to feel that you just don't trust cops across the board, because I think that's a wrong view to have. I mean, there are bad things that have happened, but there are too far good things that happen, or cops doing what they're supposed to be doing, that far outweigh anything that you see as bad. But I do understand that viewpoint, that opinion. All right, and it's unfortunate that you have that. But yeah, when Corey and I, we consider ourselves reasonable officers, and if an officer is doing something stupid or doing something bad, we'll point it out in a minute. And it sounds like this department, Detroit Police Department, is definitely investigating this particular action. And I can see right out the gate, you probably got some violations of department policy.
Oh yeah, like you stated, like you just read. I mean,
even if you don't have a violation of the criminal law, you at least have violations of department policy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is a clear and cut case of policy violations. I mean, their de-escalation of force went out the window.
Yeah, it did. Now, the other side, another view of that. Now, when you're dealing with crowd control, that's a little different. Tactics are a little different. There shouldn't be one officer way out in front of everybody, able to punch a suspect like that. First of all, now I understand these people, these particular officers were probably just patrol officers. They were not part of the crowd control unit. However, I'm sure they had some kind of training in crowd control because they are in this right now.
Well, Mike, you know, every officer.
Am I wrong on that, Corey?
Yeah, every officer goes through de-escalation training.
Yeah, that's true. True.
You go through your crowd control training. You know, you're taught how to handle certain situations and not to fly off the deep end. And I know when I went through academy, that was the number one thing they would drive home is always, you know, you need to learn how to keep your composure. You always have to have a level head. You know, you got to know when it's over, right? When this guy's backing off like he was doing, it's over. He's not a threat. So for you to come up and cold cock this guy right in the jaw, that was deliberate. That guy was not a threat. I mean, at that point, you should have been doing what we call verbal judo. Hey, get back, get back, get back. I mean, if you even wanted to go break out your OC spray or what we call your pepper spray, even if you went to that level, you'd been fine doing that if you felt like it was a real issue. But to go and just straight cold cock that guy in the face like that and knock him down, that was wrong.
That was uncalled for, you know.
It was uncalled for.
And we at our department that I worked for, we did have crowd control training too. And there are situations when you're doing crowd control. Obviously, when you're doing crowd control, there are ways that you need to physically move the crowd if they're not moving. But that's done in a line of officers all at the same time. It's not just one guy out in the front trying to move a crowd. You know what I'm saying? And it's definitely not like one guy out in front just trying to cold cock people just for standing there yelling at them. You see what I'm saying? That ain't happening. You're not supposed to do that. Okay. This is what I'm saying. What I think these officers seem to have lost focus of what their purpose was at that particular time. If you were going to arrest that guy for inciting a riot or causing some disturbance after being told to go home, you've given him the lawful, disbursement order for crowd control, and he's not leaving, then you arrest the guy. You don't just go up and cold cock him in the face, fall down to the ground, bust his head on the ground, and then just say, okay, we done with you. We going about our business. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It don't work.
Let me play this part. This is why I say that they didn't have crowd control out there, because I want you to see how all these officers right here are congregated around. So it's like, okay, well, who's watching y'all's back to make sure? Does it take all these officers to rush in on? I can't even see nobody on the other side of them. So is it 1, 2, 3, 15 people? We don't know. Let me play this again. Let me play that part again.
Okay.
So we get a little perspective here. Now, you see them all congregating. Let me turn the volume down.
Police move in. You can see some officers punching, and then
you see how all those officers just congregated around right there and started kicking and punching. And then again, that shove right there. Okay. But that black guy, uncalled for.
That's uncalled for.
Definitely
that's uncalled for. That punch right there definitely is wrong. Okay.
Dude, really? I mean, you could have used your taser if you wanted to, if he was that out of control for you.
Well, what were they trying to do with him? If that's the problem, were they trying to arrest him? No.
Well, we don't
arrest the guy.
Now, all I can say.
That's why it makes it even more crazy for him to punch him like that. You weren't even trying to detain the guy.
No, he wasn't trying to detain him. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you were going to, okay, let's say, now we can identify that at one part he was in there, looked like he was arguing with somebody because the guy in the red shirt kind of pushing him back, trying to get him away. And then you see the officers. Now, he was already away from whatever altercation was going on. He was already clearly away from that situation. All right. So at this point, he's definitely not a threat. You had no fear for your life whatsoever. So once the white police officer pushed him down, and that should have been the end of it. The guy gets up, he's still running his mouth. So what? Hey,
So
dude,
what?
get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here,
Yeah.
get out of here, whatever.
If you
Just
ain't trying to
let
arrest
him-
him, see
At
you
this
later.
point, you should have been just trying to keep him at bay and not try to get back over to where the altercation had took place. You didn't have to put hands on him. Now, granted, like I said, the guy pushed him down. Would I had done it? Maybe not as aggressive as he did, but he probably would have got a little shove back to let him know, hey, I'm not playing with you.
Yeah, okay,
You know
I
what I
can
mean?
see that. I can see the shove. I guess that's the direction I was going with the crowd control tactic. Is yeah, I could see a shove to let
reason-
you know you need to back up. If you don't back, but you're gonna follow up with if you don't back up, you're gonna be arrested. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not just I'm just going to shove him back. It's look, I'm shoving you back to move you out the way to tell you to get out of here. But if you don't, you're gonna be arrested. That's gonna come right after.
Yeah.
And then if he don't, then we going hands on and I'm arresting. You see what I'm saying? But you got to look at what your purpose there is.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's all.
And they just lost sight of that. And so the $1 million question is, do you feel that these officers acted appropriately? If not, go ahead and hit us up in the chat. Let us know your personal opinion. We love to hear it and get you up on screen here. We thank y'all for tuning in tonight as we talk about this excessive use of force that happened about 2 weeks ago almost here in Detroit. Looked as though it was a bar fight or something other, and a bunch of police gathered around, and there was excessive force being used. So like, share, and subscribe to us. If you're new watching us tonight, please smash that like button, share this out so we can get this out to everybody to know
and
what plaques. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and just to follow up, we can meet. Corey and I both can tell you that the punch was wrong. Okay, we can tell you that. Now, the first part where you see officers kneeing or punching, it seems like they were doing. I really hope that there's some body cam or something from these officers that shows the viewpoint of what they were seeing or dealing with in front of them. You see what I'm saying? Again, we are Monday morning quarterbacking. Yeah, it looks excessive to me. I can tell you that right out the gate. Okay, but I still would love to see some body camera of what happened that caused them officers to do that. Were they what was going on? Was there a guy on the other side challenging them? Like, we're going to arrest you, and he's giving a standoff like, no, you ain't. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's ready to fight. If you got somebody fighting me, if I'm an officer and somebody that I'm getting ready to detain or arrest or whatever is starting to fight me or challenging me to fight, I'm going to fight back. You see what I'm saying? And there's no professional way of fighting, if you will, for lack of better words. I got to get my hands on you, and if you throwing punches at me, I probably am going to throw a punch back at you to get you on the ground. And if I got a group of officers with me that helps me do that, that's even more safer for me, the way I look at it. If I'm dealing with a violent suspect, I'd rather have 4 officers on my side to help me grab this person. You see, so the number of officers is not really shocking to me, but I'm curious to know what happened that caused that kind of violent reaction from the officers, because it doesn't look good on the angle that we saw. So hopefully later on or something, when more information comes out and they have some video footage to maybe show a different side of it, I don't know. And if they do, we'll come back and make a comment. And if our opinions have changed, we'll tell you that. I ain't got no problem with that either. But it doesn't look good at this point. I can tell you that.
No, it doesn't look good for them. I would say more so for the black officer.
Yeah, especially after the punch.
He wasn't even. I mean, he came out of nowhere. Now, again, like you just said, we don't like Monday morning quarterbacking. I mean, we can what if this from now until the end of time. How do we know that this black officer, didn't get punched by him or whatever?
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. No.
That was an aggressive punch. Like, you know what? I'm getting your ass back.
Yes, that's what that seemed like.
That's why.
Even if that was the case,
yeah,
that's wrong too.
Yeah, that's why I want to see more footage of it. Why would he come up and just cold cock somebody like that? Then at the same time, we need to look at his history as a police officer. Does he have a disciplinary problem where he's used excessive force before, or was he a stellar officer and just let this get the best of him? Right.
And keep in mind, there's a difference between receiving complaints of excessive force versus those investigations that were found it to be true. You see what I'm saying? Somebody could have 20 use of force complaints because the citizen doesn't feel that the use of force you used was necessary. That doesn't mean that that's a valid complaint. You see what I'm saying?
So, it definitely was unnecessary. Like I said, man, I think we'll see justice done out of this for this young man. He definitely has a lawsuit. I'm sure he'll receive a nice payday from this. But again, like you said a little while ago, Mike, what we try to tell people is how not to end up in a situation like this where you need to stay calm, right? And we know the acronym means comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. Now, we beat up on the law enforcement. Now let's look at the actions of this young man.
Megan says, a comment. Megan says, look at this real quick. She said, would this punch be grounds for the officer to be fired? It could be. Now, firing is the extreme side of it, though. There are other levels of punishment that take place before just a fire on some things. You see what I'm saying? So that he could be anywhere from reprimanded to suspended without pay for a period of time, all the way up to being fired. Yes.
And again, the moment that this happened, that a use of force was happening, I'm pretty confident to say that 99% of all police precincts throughout this country has in their policy that a supervisor needs to be notified at the moment use of force is used. I know our policy was.
Yeah, you have to actually write a different kind of report for that
to add on to her question, like you were saying, Mike. I think also too, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at all the videos. They're going to take statements from other officers that were there, and Internal Affairs will do their investigation, and they're going to look at the policy, and they're going to look at it in detail. What does the wording say in it? Right? What type of force? Did he even try to de-escalate the situation first before you even try to use that type of force? And clearly, as you saw in the video, the guy was not a threat. He was already removed from where the altercation took place. In my humble opinion, if I were doing the investigation, I would probably move from ground. Now, again, I'm speculating, and just based on what I see and what I read from their policy, just on those two things, I would definitely be in favor of him being fired from the department.
Yeah, especially if you got his history would come into play as this
history
had several investigations with this, that not just investigation, but investigations that have been confirmed and he was found to be in the wrong. You see what I'm saying? And if they've had a lot of those with him, The department can use that against him. But the number one thing is that department policy. Did he violate the wording in their department policy? Did anything that took place? So within a department, a lot of things can happen to him. Now the department is separate from a criminal nature. That's through the courts. You see what I'm saying? Now, could a district attorney decide to charge him with unlawful use of force by a position of authority or something along those lines? They could, but that'd be a question for an attorney to have to answer. And why attorneys have caseloads, they have things that they have to decide whether to charge or not. They have a lot of things to do. So there's different decisions, a lot of things that go into their decision to charge someone with that also.
Yeah. Now to get back to the gentleman, again, we always have to look at their actions, right? The whole cause and effect. When we look back in the video, when he was up against the building, there was another citizen there, might have been a friend, I don't know, was trying to push him back and trying to tell him to get out of here. And he kind of shoves him. Now, at that point, he should have listened to his friend and got his composure and went on and just left.
Oh, yeah.
But now he got the attention of the officers for whatever reason. Right. And see, that little short snippet of video we don't have. Like what caused the officers to go down and single him out, if you will. Right. And now he's got himself, the young man that got punched. He's got himself back in the situation now instead of pulling himself off and going on about his business. Now he's gained the attention of the officers, right? Whatever words probably being transpired between the two parties pissed the officer off, I would imagine. And that's when the white officer goes hands on.
I agree. I agree with you.
He had a role in it too, is my point.
I understand that. And I'm going to walk that tightrope with you. So I agree with you on that walk of that tightrope. Okay. If I was that guy that was punched, I probably wouldn't have lost my head. He was probably drinking. He was probably intoxicated. He probably saw something he didn't like. He saw an opportunity for him to jump bad with the police. Okay. and get his little 2 cents in, Don't do that, folks. Go home, walk away, do whatever you need to do, because you don't know if there's going to be officers like this guy who, for whatever reason, decide to go up and cold cock you. You see what I'm saying? Well, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
It ain't worth it, and that's why it's important to, in all situations, you gotta stay calm. But when you got that alcohol or some other kind of mind altering drug inside you, you're not even trying to think about staying calm. You're acting off of pure emotions of what's going on at hand. You're not trying to process the situation. So
just to be clear, for the purposes of a reasonable officer and what they would have done, neither Corey or I would have punched that guy in the face under those circumstances. It's simple as that.
What Miss Singleton say, jumping bad with the police is always a bad idea. Yes, ma'am.
yes, it is.
It's a bad idea.
It really is. No matter what you think, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the premise behind CALM. You're right. Comply, answer questions, move on, right? Utilize that to take the actions away from the police. In other words, stop them from doing something stupid, right? Had this guy just went on, chalked up his beat down as a loss if he fought another guy or whatever, or he couldn't get a chance to get the guy he wanted to fight, whatever, chalk it up as a loss, dude, go home. It's time to leave, right? He chose not to, even though he had that, spirit juice in him. He chose not to, And like Miss Singleton said, you know, you jump bad with the police. You know, that's not a good idea.
No, go home. It ain't worth it. Take your ticket, whatever, and move on. Move on. I'm trying to go home. I do not care to get into no fights with nobody. I don't care none of that. I'm ready to go home. You see what I'm saying?
I'm going. Well, you know, now I don't go out to no clubs now. This primary reason why. I mean, I don't think I would have a good time in a club nowadays. Man.
We too old, man.
We too old. You know,
we can't do that club scene no more like we used to do. Right? Can't do that mess anymore, man. We're too old for that.
Hey, 9 o'clock. We talking about going to bed.
Listen to music right in the den here, man. I ain't got to mess around.
Hey, that's what. Hey, we had a club right here at the house to get my liquor, you know, turn the music on.
Hey, I got a beautiful wife right around the corner. Man.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
That's how the old heads do it now. So
we dating ourselves, man. We dating ourselves big time.
I know. It's all good though, man. Hey, we just getting wiser, man. We just getting wiser.
That's it. Stay safe, folks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, be out there, be safe.
And again, hey, we'll point out, and there's going to be more videos to come that we're going to do. There's no shortage of police videos, both good and bad. So we're going to talk about the bad just like we're going to talk about the good. You see what I'm saying? And you know, if the officer is screwing up, we ain't got no problem telling you, that's 8 up. I wouldn't do that. As a reasonable officer, I would not have done that. You see what I'm saying? So it is.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, man. This is why we're doing this. And then also too, we need to start talking about how we improve our communities. What do we need to do as fellow citizens to make our communities better, to stop this foolishness, man? I mean, I know most of you are like me. You're getting tired of hearing all this gang violence and gun violence every night. You know, I try not even to watch local news anymore because I get frustrated, because every time it seems like the first 20 minutes is all about killings, right? And so we have to take action back within ourselves, knowing what you can do as a citizen to ensure that, you know, your neighborhoods are safe, your children, when they go out and they interact with law enforcement, what they need to do. And this is what we are wanting to do, Mike and I. That's why we like for you all to share this video out so we can talk about staying calm and utilizing these words from calm, complying, answer questions, and moving on, so that you know when you get stopped by police that you remember, stay calm, right?
Yeah, that's it.
If he's a pure butthole and he's going off the deep end, he can't do no more than what you allow him to do to you, right? So if you're complying, you're answering the questions, you're listening to everything he's telling you to do, the only thing left is either if you have a violation where it results in you needing to go to jail, then you go to jail. If it's to get a ticket, you get the ticket. But the bottom line is you get to move on. There's no reason for you to have an encounter with the police officer and it ends up you being shot or killed.
Yeah, there's no reason. There's no reason for anybody to be in fear of the police, especially if you are the type of person that you don't have a lot of exposure to the police anyway. There would be you ain't doing nothing shady. You don't live your life. Your lifestyle is far from that. You see what I'm saying? The average citizen has you don't need to be living your life in fear of the police. You see what I'm saying? You just don't. And if you do, you need to, if you're doing something shady, if you're the type to have something illegal in your car, if you're the type to be doing something illegal and happen to get stopped by the police for an investigation or something like that, you are living that's a different lifestyle. I can't relate to that because I don't live that kind of lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But officers are supposed to investigate those kinds of activities. You see what I'm saying? That's what they're supposed to do. Okay. So don't be afraid if you have an officer who is stopping you and asking you questions because he thinks something is suspicious. and he wants to verify that it's not suspicious. You see what I'm saying? That's all. So you simply do not need to walk in fear of the police. Okay?
Right.
Especially if you live in a jungle. And what I mean by a jungle, if you live in a high crime area, you should be glad that you have a lot of police in there being very proactive, making a lot of contacts and stuff like that. Because you want that. You hear often too many times that people say, I'm glad I made it out the hood, or growing up, I'm glad I made it to 18, or something along those lines. You got to look at that. You're more afraid of the people around you than you are the police. You see what I'm saying? And which that should tell you something. Okay,
Right.
Cops are just not out here recklessly trying to shoot people and kill black folks. That just is not the case. Now, if you feel that way, I'm sorry you feel that way. Corey and I, we don't feel that way. But if you do feel that way, we can tell you what you need to do and how you need to interact with police so that something like that doesn't happen to you, no matter what kind of officer you come across.
Right.
Okay. And the minute you try to be argumentative with any police officer or something like that, that's when it's going to go downhill. You see what I'm saying? Just yes or no, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Here's my ID. You can run me all day, officer. You want to check me for warrants? Got no problem with that. Because I don't live my life in I don't live a shady lifestyle. So I ain't worried about my warrants. You see what I'm saying? So if you got a warrant, so what? Get a ticket or go to jail. It ain't no big deal. In the long run, it ain't no big deal because it's better than inviting something more to happen where you could end up getting hurt or the officer could end up getting hurt or both.
Right. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We thank y'all for joining into this live tonight. Let us know what you think about this here video. Leave us a comment below. And I'll also go back in and I'll put the link into this video if you want to go back through it and check it out yourself. It's also on YouTube as well. So we thank you again. Make sure you hit that like button. Please hit it out. Please share this video out so we can get our viewership up and continue to get recognized throughout this great country of ours. All right. I don't have any last final words. Mike, do you?
No, we're gonna have a good video for y'all next week too.
Oh yeah, next week's gonna be good.
Real
So
juicy.
stay tuned.
Real
We'll probably go live again next week too at the same time.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. It's real juicy, so stay tuned.
Yeah, if it works for you guys, let us know. 8:00. If not, we'll change the time. It's more convenient to you all because we know everybody's out here getting their work on and everything. So hey, y'all be blessed. Have a blessed weekend. Stay safe, and we love y'all. Thank you.
Peace out.